headed out to pick up one of our vehicles that's in the shop. So much going on, but we have made a really big decision. Aaron and I have been looking at different ways of moving into a tiny mobile home. We definitely want to travel with the kids, and we've already started by downsizing. So the next step is determining what type of vehicle we want to get, whether it's going to be an RV or a tiny house that we pay someone to build, or most recently, we have looked into converting a bus into a home. Now, obviously, this is not something new, and there are several really cool families out there that have tons of kids, like 7 kids, 9 kids, and they make conversion buses work. So we feel like going with 4 kids would actually not be anything that's terribly out of the box. People have done this before us. And so we have the support of our family. We downsized into an apartment space in my mother's home. That's where we're living now. We've made the small space work for us. And thank God, my mom is just so supportive. She knows that we really would like to, as quickly as possible, get some kind of a mobile home going. And when I mentioned to her that we'd seen these really cool buses, she thought it was a great idea. So she gave us her blessing today to buy a bus and have it in our front yard, in the driveway, as a project that we work on. She's hugely supportive of us having a project together, even though, do you know how to convert a bus to a house? Do you know anything about what it would take?
Well, I am a man, so being a man, I have some working knowledge of tools. Having said that, I wasn't very handy growing up, and neither was my father. I do have electronics training. I served in the military as an aviation electronics technician, and then did 3 years of that in the civilian world. So 7 total years, you know. So I could do electronics to some degree, but of course I haven't done it in over 10 years. And electricians' work and electronics are not exactly the same thing. They're close, but they're not exactly the same thing. So,
I have faith in him. I have faith in you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about this. Because Aaron is a programmer, he kind of has found himself a little bit on the outside of that handyman category. And it's something that it's not really... Aaron loves to learn new things, and we are both big believers that almost anyone can learn to do almost anything. And so it's not outside of our realm of possibility to learn things that are reasonable tasks that we could do as able-bodied adults. So that's kind of what we're going to do. We've also... What do you think about when you think of like doing the conversion bus thing over doing a tiny house or an RV? What are the main perks that you see?
Price.
Yes, price.
So we could probably do a very, 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 very nice bus for 20 grand.
Yeah.
And a tiny home, at its very, very least, is about 30 grand.
Yeah.
So there's already a huge discrepancy between the worst we can do in a tiny home and the best we could do in a bus. Now, when I say the best we can do, I'm not saying that we're ignoring, you know, $300,000 and $1 million buses.
Yeah, there's amazing.
What we're referring to is I can take an old bus that works, completely strip it out, redo the wiring, add in, you know, insulation, add in wood, add in flooring, you know, make the holes and pipes for plumbing. Like, we're talking about from the ground up, take an old junker and actually turn it into a real nice home for us.
So the huge perk about this, not only is my mom supportive of us working on a project together and kind of learning a new skill and doing this as a family, but she really has pointed out to me what a benefit it is to be able to get started on a project without having a loan, a huge loan that you're working off, or trying to save in advance tens of thousands of dollars. So even though we like the idea of having luxury elements in a home, it definitely would be much more cost effective to try and do work ourselves, and it will allow us to at least start with a timeline of when we could get this going, instead of saying, well, maybe 2 years from now we'll be able to do something.
My wife's got a lot of skills with wood. And of course I've done electronics and technology for many years. So we're already kind of not too bad off. But there's a lot of people on that online that we've watched their videos where they literally learned everything from YouTube.
Yeah.
Everything. So they
Yeah.
had not a bone in their body knowing how to do anything, even swinging a hammer. Using YouTube, we're able to completely build a home of their own.
Yeah, clearly we're huge fans of YouTube, so we will share this process with you. We think it's awesome to be able to watch what other families do and kind of learn from other people and discover yourself along the way. So we want to discover ourselves along the way. We are going to be looking specifically for city buses more so than the traditional school bus.
Yep.
School buses are less expensive. You can get them for a couple $1,000s. We've seen people online over and over again that paid roughly $3,000.
Yep.
It looks as though the buses that we are looking at are closer to like the 10 range.
Yeah, but they're going to look a lot nicer on the outside.
Yeah.
They already have compartments underneath.
Yeah, we like the under compartments.
Well, that's another thing that a lot of people have to do with those school buses. They have to build these compartments underneath for storage and for water tanks and stuff, whereas we're going to get that for free.
Well, we'll pay for a bus that has that already.
I'm saying with the city bus.
Yeah.
Also, the city bus looks nicer on the outside.
Yeah.
The one thing about a school bus is that it always looks like a school bus.
Yeah.
No matter what you do to it, it looks like a school bus. At least with a city bus, it could look like we bought it off the lot if we put enough work into it.
Now, this is definitely a more expensive option, so we will have to figure out how we're going to approach the finances of this big project. But yeah, so this is a huge deal for us. It's a totally new direction. We're really heavily on board, and our family is on board with us. They're very supportive. As we've talked about it, people are not saying, "You're crazy." They're saying, "That's awesome." So that's a great place to be. And that's the deal. So in the next couple of months, we hope to really be shopping and putting in bids for some cool buses. We're going to look for a creative style that we like from the onset, that we're not going to have to put a lot of work into making look attractive on the outside. Obviously something that has the best...
Lots of room.
Yeah, lots of room, but also the best possible transmission, engine, and tires, so we don't have to put a lot of money into that. We're looking for rust on the bus. So we want to try and find something, because we're in Georgia, that shouldn't be a huge issue.
It's not as big of a deal.
Yeah, as long as we get something local.
Yeah, as long as we get something local. So essentially the big deal is there's a lot of buses out there that are older, that are in good shape. It's just the main issue is the engine and transmission. Making sure that those things, axle, all that jazz, are in good shape. Because we don't want to replace any of that.
Yeah, we really would prefer not. I'd rather pay more on the front end because there are some buses out there where someone's already done the work. They've done the base work.
Now that costs a lot more, which is kind of stupid, but it does. There's places online that will sell a kitted out older bus. You know what I mean by that is they ripped all the tire, ripped all the seats out already. Yeah. They've put in some boarding and some simple stuff, and they make sure it's in good tip-top shape. But then that's it. They haven't done anything else.
Yeah.
And those, you can spend a good $15,000 to $20,000 on one of those. But it's a great starting point. And really, at that point, all you're doing is building your home. You're not doing as much a renovation.
Well, so this will all depend on how much capital we can get in a short amount of time, what options we see locally. We have heard that it's very difficult to insure the buses, that basically you have to convert them into a home and have that...
They have to be a home before you can convert them. That means...
before you can insure it.
Well, before you insure them, yeah. And before you can get them registered, you have to be insured. So there's a lot of steps that we've been watching that are tricky.
Yes, so what that means is that if you can get a bus locally and try and just scoot it over to where it's going to be, that would be our preference. So we don't want to shop like too far away. We would like to try and find something locally, but that's our big new thing, and we're very excited about it. We're going to work on it as a family and build our home, and as we get closer to our purchase, we'll start to kind of create a timeline, and we'll share with you guys how that goes. So pretty exciting. Good stuff. Okay, well, we're off. Have a good week. We'll see you guys back here next time. Bye.
You.